The owners of miniature Japanese vehicles are looking to a lawyer now for help. In February, we told you state lawmakers were considering a proposal to legalize miniature K-cars.
The proposal failed, but the K-car drivers say they're still fighting.
Among state regulatory agencies and industry watchdogs, a key flashpoint was the dissemination of a 2008 crash test video produced by the Insurance Institute for Highway Safety, which showed a low-speed collision between a Tiger truck, a Chinese-made K-style vehicle, and a Ford Ranger. Although the test was criticized for being poorly representative since the Tiger was not Japanese-made and did not meet the build standards of genuine K-trucks, the emotional power of the video influenced policy discussions. Critics argued that K-trucks pose a threat to their tiny, efficient, and beloved by farmers, tradespeople, and tinkerers alike. But these pickup trucks just got banned across 12 U.S. states, and owners are furious. Today, we'll unveil how Japanese K-trucks like the Honda Acti and Suzuki Carry are quietly disappearing from the roads. Once welcomed as quirky but practical solutions for small businesses and rural operators, these mini workhorses are now the target of a sweeping bureaucratic crackdown. Despite being legally imported under the federal 25-year exemption rule and praised for their affordability, fuel economy, and maneuverability, state regulators are increasingly revoking their registrations. Let's get to the bottom of this. The legal loophole in a growing market. Back in 1988, the Imported Vehicle Safety Compliance Act, a law crafted during a period of heightened concern over foreign automotive imports, was passed in the United States. This flooded the market with Japanese K-trucks, which gained popularity quickly. The law in question was designed to close regulatory gaps and prevent unsafe or non-compliant vehicles from flooding the American market. It required all foreign-made vehicles to meet stringent U.S. Department of Transportation and Environmental Protection Agency standards unless they were more than 25 years old. The 25-year rule, as it came to be known, was included as a carve-out to protect automotive collectors and historical enthusiasts. It allowed older vehicles, regardless of whether they met current crashworthiness or emissions requirements, to be legally imported and registered as historic or antique vehicles. In the decades that followed, this provision unintentionally opened a legal backdoor for the importation of thousands of Japanese K-trucks. These tiny, sub-660cc commercial vehicles are built for the dense urban streets and narrow farm roads of Japan. Collectors were among the first to exploit this loophole. They were drawn to vehicles like the Honda Acti, Suzuki Carry, Daihatsu Hijet, and Mitsubishi Minicab for their mechanical simplicity, low maintenance costs, and retro appeal. Most K-trucks are powered by three-cylinder engines under 660 cubic centimeters, produce 30 to 60 horsepower, and weigh under 1,800 pounds, making them extraordinarily fuel-efficient and easy to maneuver. As awareness of the 25-year loophole spread beyond enthusiast circles, small business owners began to take note. Landscapers, organic farmers, rural mail carriers, and tradespeople across the U.S. discovered that for under $10,000, including shipping and compliance costs, they could acquire a compact work vehicle that did nearly everything a full-size truck could do, but at a fraction of the price. By contrast, the average price of a new full-size pickup in 2023 had ballooned to over $70,000. Naturally, this economic disparity fueled a surge in K-truck imports. In 2023 alone, the U.S. imported approximately 7,594 K-trucks. As many as 45,000 K-class vehicles are currently in use across the country, not including those operating on private property, farms, or unregistered off-road. Their compact size, typically no more than 11 feet long and 5 feet wide, made them ideal for urban delivery routes, college campuses, small farms, and warehouse operations. Most K-trucks offer four-wheel drive capabilities, 6-foot beds, and payload capacities exceeding 800 pounds, allowing them to hold tools, fertilizer, and equipment efficiently. Their tight-turning radius, high-visibility cabins, and manual transmissions appeal to those seeking low-cost, practical utility vehicles that prioritize function over luxury. The surge in imports coincided with the expansion of online vehicle marketplaces and third-party importers that simplified the purchasing process. Companies like Japan Car Direct, Duncan Imports, and MiniTruckDealer.com began offering door-to-door shipping, EPA documentation support, and compliance inspections. By 2020, a new breed of buyers, rural entrepreneurs, permaculture farmers, and independent contractors were replacing the traditional collector base. Ironically, vehicles that were never designed for U.S. highways were suddenly being registered in dozens of states. Many DMVs lack specific legislation on vehicles in this class, and because they met the 25-year exemption under federal law, registration officials often process them as antique or commercial utility vehicles. States like Montana, Idaho, Vermont, and even parts of Texas became hotspots for mini-truck usage, especially in agricultural sectors. Some states issued specialty tags or limited their use to daylight hours or roads under 55 miles per hour, but others permitted unrestricted on-road operation. The legal status of K-trucks remained largely unchallenged until around 2019, when safety concerns began to percolate drivers and pedestrians due to their light frames and lack of modern crumple zones or airbags, even though many imported models from the late 1990s onward came equipped with safety features comparable to U.S. subcompacts of the same era. Still, momentum for banning K-trucks on public roads began to build. By 2021, the American Association of Motor Vehicle Administrators, a non-profit policy organization based in Arlington, Virginia, began circulating internal guidance documents urging state DMVs to reclassify imported K-trucks as off-road-only vehicles. This brings us to our current problem and anger from buyers across the USA. State bans and grassroots pushback. In early 2021, the U.S. state-level crackdown on imported K-trucks began with a sudden shift in Maine's regulatory approach. Without any new legislation, the Maine Bureau of Motor Vehicles began retroactively canceling previously approved registrations for K-trucks, reclassifying them as off-road only based on safety concerns. More than 100 vehicle owners received letters from the BMV stating that their trucks were no longer road legal. The state cited the aforementioned 2008 crash test video as justification. This decision was influenced by non-binding recommendations issued by the American Association of Motor Vehicle Administrators, AMVA, which had begun circulating advisories urging states to limit K-trucks to agricultural or non-road use only. Notably, AAMVA's guidance lacked statutory authority but proved influential across state DMVs. Rhode Island and Massachusetts soon followed with similar actions. By mid-2022, multiple states had begun pulling registrations of K-trucks that had already been titled and approved for public roads. This happened oftentimes without any prior notice to the owners. The lack of due process and scientific rigor behind these moves sparked backlash from vehicle owners, many of whom had legally imported their vehicles under the federal 25-year rule. Texas became a flashpoint in 2023 when the Texas Department of Motor Vehicles began issuing statewide memos discouraging the registration of K-trucks. The move affected a wide range of vehicle owners, from farmers to delivery service operators, many of whom had incorporated K-trucks into their daily businesses. The backlash was swift. A grassroots group called Lone Star K, founded by mini-truck enthusiast and advocate and Christian in Fort Worth, launched a coordinated legislative effort to counter what they saw as administrative overreach. With help from state legislators sympathetic to rural and independent business owners, the group rallied support for Senate Bill 1816. Sponsored by Senator Drew Springer, the bill explicitly affirmed the legality of K-trucks if they were imported under the 25-year exemption and had previously been registered. After bipartisan support and public testimony from owners and importers, SB 1816 was signed into law by Governor Greg Abbott on June 7, 2024. The law prevented the Texas DMV from banning mini-trucks that met federal exemptions and effectively overturned the administrative restrictions imposed over the previous year. While Texas marked the first successful legislative response to the crackdown, the situation reached its boiling point in Massachusetts by mid-2024. In July, the Massachusetts Registry of Motor Vehicles issued a sudden ban on all K-trucks, halting both new registrations and renewals for previously approved vehicles. The RMV offered no legislative mandate for the action, instead citing safety compliance concerns and referencing outdated federal crash data. K-truck owners across the state were blindsided. Among them were Matt Isgrove of East Longmeadow and Mason Minute of Lexington, both of whom used their vehicles for work and personal transport. Isgrove had purchased a 1993 Suzuki Carry for landscaping projects, while Minute relied on his 1996 Honda Active for his delivery business. Both found themselves suddenly locked out of the roads. Galvanized by the sudden ban, Isgrove and Minute launched an online advocacy campaign. Within weeks, They created Facebook groups, Reddit threads, and online petitions drawing hundreds of supporters. The group's main Facebook page, Massachusetts Mini Truck Owners United, quickly swelled to over 900 members. As the campaign gained momentum, longtime K-Truck importer and restorer Raymond Moe, based in Portland, Oregon, joined as a key strategist. Moe had decades of experience navigating federal import laws and vehicle compliance paperwork. He helped expose inconsistencies in the RMV's enforcement decisions, revealing that many vehicles being targeted had been previously cleared by the state and had clean titles on file. Public pressure mounted. The Boston Globe ran a feature in August 2024 highlighting the plight of small business owners affected by the ban. Interviews with vehicle owners, legal experts, and automotive historians reveal the depth of the regulatory confusion and the arbitrary nature. Agency, including the National Highway Traffic, of the RMV's actions. Advocates submitted open records requests, uncovering email threads within the RMV referencing AMVA guidance rather than any official legal directive or safety assessment specific to K-trucks. Faced with mounting scrutiny and rising media coverage, the RMV began to backpedal. On September 18, 2024, the Massachusetts Department of Transportation, MassDOT, which oversees the RMV, issued a public statement announcing a pause on all enforcement actions related to K-trucks. The department acknowledged the need for a comprehensive safety review and promised to solicit stakeholder input before making further decisions. The statement also hinted at the possibility of granting limited on-road use for K-trucks in rural or agricultural zones, an approach already in place in states like Idaho, Utah, and Washington. This reversal was hailed as a tactical victory by grassroots advocates. The implications of these developments extend far beyond Massachusetts. Presently, at least 19 states allow some form of K-truck registration, while 8 states, including Pennsylvania, Virginia, and North Carolina, have moved to restrict or reclassify them. In most cases, the battles are playing out not through legislation, but through administrative memos and reinterpretations of existing statutes, often leaving vehicle owners without a clear path to appeal. The broader fight over K-trucks reveals deeper tensions in U.S. transportation policy. At the heart of the debate is a question of who gets to decide what constitutes a safe and legal vehicle. While K-trucks do not meet modern crash safety standards, neither do many antique American cars still registered and driven across the country. Moreover, K-trucks' fuel efficiency, low emissions, and adaptability make them appealing in a time when environmental concerns and rising fuel costs are major factors. Meanwhile, in Japan, K-trucks remain ubiquitous. Over 1.7 million K-class trucks and vans are registered in Japan, according to the Japan Mini Vehicles Association. Many new models feature dual airbags, anti-lock brakes, and even radar-assisted emergency braking systems, features that rival or surpass some current U.S. subcompacts. Yet these newer models remain inaccessible to American buyers due to the 25-year import restriction, reinforcing the sense that U.S. policy lags behind consumer demand and global vehicle safety standards. But some believe that there's more to the bans than lazy policymaking. Centralized influence and hidden agendas. Much of the pressure behind recent U.S. state-level restrictions on K-trucks can be traced to a relatively obscure yet highly influential organization, the American Association of Motor Vehicle Administrators, AAMVA. Formed in 1933, AAMVA is a non-profit that develops administrative policy standards for vehicle titling, licensing, and registration across North America. Though it operates outside any official legislative framework, its recommendations are widely treated as de facto policy by state departments of motor vehicles. AAMVA's influence became apparent in 2020 when it began circulating internal guidance documents that recommended reclassifying imported K-trucks as off-road vehicles due to alleged safety concerns. These documents, which have no legal authority and are not subject to public oversight, have since formed the backbone of policy shifts in states like Maine, Massachusetts, and Virginia. Interestingly, no federal safety administration issued any similar directives. AAMVA's role in the crackdown remains largely invisible to the public, as their memos and meeting notes are not readily available for public comment or scrutiny. Yet these recommendations have led to the revocation of vehicle titles and registrations that were previously approved under the federal 25-year import rule authorized by the Imported Vehicle Safety Compliance Act of 1988. The act was designed to allow the import and legal use of foreign vehicles that were at least 25 years old, exempting them from modern safety and emission standards. What's emerging now is a troubling pattern. Federal law grants import rights, while state agencies, under AMVA's guidance, use administrative tactics to strip them away. Central to AMVA's case against K-Trucks is a widely cited crash test conducted in 2008 by the Insurance Institute for Highway Safety, IHS. As noted earlier, the video depicts a catastrophic head-on collision between a full-size Ford F-150 and a small utility truck, resulting in the latter's complete structural failure. However, the test vehicle used was not a genuine Japanese K-truck, but a Chinese-manufactured Tiger truck, which lacks the rigorous engineering standards of Japan's domestic K lineup. Tiger trucks were built primarily in China and sometimes assembled in Oklahoma, marketed in the U.S. as cheap off-road utility vehicles, not road-legal imports under the 25-year rule. Despite this, the footage has been used extensively to argue that K-trucks are inherently dangerous, often without disclosing the vehicle's origin or classification. The crash tests overused contrast sharply with real-world data. In Japan, K-trucks have been in continuous use since the post-war era, particularly after the Japanese government officially codified the K-car class in 1949. These vehicles operate on the same public roads as all other motor traffic and are subject to rigorous biannual inspections under Japan's Shaken program. Over 3 decades of government data from the Japanese National Police Agency show that K vehicles have crash fatality rates comparable to those of larger passenger vehicles. Furthermore, many newer K trucks are equipped with modern safety features like dual airbags, anti-lock brakes, and electronic stability control, though these newer models remain ineligible for U.S. import. The American safety argument also appears increasingly hollow when juxtaposed with the country's broader vehicle safety landscape. According to the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, pedestrian fatalities in the U.S. reached 7,522 in 2022, the highest in over 4 decades. A 2023 study by the Governor's Highway Safety Association found that large SUVs and pickups are disproportionately involved in fatal pedestrian incidents, particularly in urban areas and low-income communities. These vehicles often have elevated hoods that reduce visibility and increase the severity of injuries on impact. Yet these models remain fully legal, heavily advertised, and often subsidized through tax incentives for large vehicle purchases. In contrast, K-trucks, typically weighing between 1,500 and 1,900 pounds and limited to speeds around 60 to 65 miles per hour, pose minimal risk in urban settings. They are widely used for municipal services in Japan, including by post offices, farming co-ops, and utility companies. Their compact size, low fuel consumption, averaging 35 to 45 miles per gallon, and maneuverability make them ideal for tight spaces and short commutes. In the U.S., many K-truck owners are farmers, small contractors, and delivery service providers operating in rural and semi-rural settings where vehicle speeds are moderate and traffic is light. The timing and intensity of state bans also coincide with a drive to protect domestic truck sales. K-trucks, which typically sell for between $5,000 and $10,000 on the used import market, offer a compelling alternative to the bloated prices of new American pickups. Presently, the average cost of a new full-size pickup in the U.S. exceeds $70,000, according to data from Kelley Blue Book. These trucks often feature oversized engines, poor fuel economy, and complex electronic systems that increase repair costs and dependency on dealerships. Compounding this is the ongoing impact of the chicken tax, a 25% tariff on imported light trucks that dates back to a 1964 trade dispute between the U.S. and European nations. Originally implemented to retaliate against European tariffs on American chicken exports, the chicken tax has become a permanent fixture that shields U.S. truck manufacturers from foreign competition. It is one reason why K-trucks are rarely imported new. The tariff renders them economically unviable unless they are over 25 years old, and thus exempt from the tax. The irony is striking. While K-trucks can legally enter the country under a federal exemption, state DMVs are invoking dubious safety arguments to eliminate them from the roads, effectively preserving market share for domestic automakers. The economic interests don't end with manufacturers. Dealerships, state revenue agencies, and insurance providers all benefit from the status quo. Large trucks generate more registration fees, higher insurance premiums, and more frequent service visits than smaller, simpler K trucks. For insurance companies, K trucks fall into a gray area, often requiring special policies or being excluded altogether. This reinforces a perception that they are fringe or risky, despite the lack of evidence supporting those assumptions. The pushback against K-truck bans has exposed how unelected bodies like AMVA can reshape national policy through soft power and quiet coordination. Right now, only a handful of states, including Texas and Oklahoma, have passed laws explicitly protecting mini-truck use on public roads. In contrast, states like Virginia, Pennsylvania, and North Carolina continue to restrict or revoke registrations, often without legislative mandates. The legal patchwork is now so fragmented that a K-truck legally driven in Vermont might be banned from crossing into Massachusetts. As vehicle technology evolves and environmental pressures mount, the case for K-trucks is only growing stronger. The K-truck movement, born from localized bans and grassroots defiance, has grown into a national campaign redefining transportation rights in the U.S. What began with legislative victories in Texas and Massachusetts has catalyzed broader efforts across states like Colorado and Oregon. Advocates from across the political spectrum, including libertarians, environmentalists, and small business owners, are uniting against opaque regulatory overreach and in favor of consumer choice, affordability, and sustainable mobility. With rising vehicle costs and outdated safety standards under scrutiny, K-trucks symbolize a larger push for democratic accountability in transportation policy. Well, that's it for now. Thanks for watching. Did you like this video? If you did, please consider liking, dropping a comment, and hitting the subscribe button so that you don't miss out on our new uploads. Also, don't miss this video you see on your screen right now. It's truly unbelievable.